Hello, and welcome to WooStream. I'm Tiffany Newton, Director of Graduate Alumni Engagement. Today's conversation features Carol Long, who serves as Provost and Senior Vice President here at Willamette University. In her role, she focuses on enhancing collaboration among the three colleges of Willamette University and between students and academic affairs. Provost Long spent over 30 years at Willamette University as a professor of English. During this time, she also served as department chair, associate dean, and dean of the College of Liberal Arts, before leaving in 2009 to work at State University of New York College at Geneseo as a provost and interim president. She then returned to Willamette, we're so thankful, in August of 2016. Our discussion today will focus on how our passionate and inventive faculty and campus partners have strived to support students during these uncertain times. We'll discuss their creativity as well as their collaborative and caring approach to preserve and foster the community culture that makes Willamette a truly special place to learn and work. Provost Long, Carol, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me about all of the work that is taking place in and outside of our virtual classrooms right now to keep things moving forward. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Tiffany. Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity to talk with you.
Oh, we're so excited to have you here. So my first question, of course, is that moving to virtual classes was a big decision for the university. How did you and your leadership team arrive at that decision?
Well, it maybe wasn't an easy decision to implement, but it was a pretty easy one to take once Governor Brown had given an executive order in the state asking that there be no face-to-face instruction in K-12 or colleges. It was a rather quick turnabout, as it was across the country, I think, for a variety of institutions. So we moved online the week before spring break. We made that decision, I believe it was the Thursday before that week. So essentially, folks had a weekend to pick it up and run. And now we're a month in, and we've learned a lot, and I think things are going well. People have learned humility as well as learned how to innovate a lot. Our WITS team, the IT segment of our campus, have done yeoman work. They have supplied the tools and the support that have really helped us to do all of this.
Mm-hmm. They've been amazing. I can speak from personal experience. So how have faculty approached this significant change while supporting each other and their students through this process? I know we have several different colleges. They're all kind of approaching it in different ways. And what does that look like?
Well, it's been very interesting. The first week, the week before spring break, people were still, they kind of didn't leave campus immediately. There were still quite a few students on campus. Faculty were still sometimes teaching from their offices before they gathered up all their things to actually work from home. So there was that kind of transition week, and people were experimenting, sort of trying things out and practicing with their students in the class a little bit, right? So by the time we got through that week, and then people, including the students, had a week of spring break to think about things and reorient, and many of them traveling home, faculty moving home to work. We've all been investing in our home offices, I think.
So true.
So, it was a sort of two-step, two-week process. And now we're 2 weeks into that, and things are beginning to settle. We've had discussion groups online with faculty from all of the schools, helping each other, giving each other tips. Everybody's been collecting resources from out there in the world and sharing them online. There are lists of resources all over the web. The library's been helpful in providing information for people. WITS has continued to, look at the Zoom security issues, look at how, who doesn't have the right equipment at home to actually do this well. So it's been a very energetic month.
Yes, I know that we can dive into so many different things, but what are some of the ways in particular with our campus partners that Willamette has been making this pivot so quickly as we all adjust to a new reality, which is living and working at home with maybe spouses and all kinds of other situations going on at this time?
Yeah, very true. Very true. We've all gotten to know each other's, dogs and cats and children.
Yes, so true. Mine are hidden. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's been kind of fun, except that my dreams are now coming in, panel form like Zoom. That disturbs me. But other than that, I'm fine. So I think that in the college, where we have such a wide range of disciplines, it's been really interesting to see how this mode of presentation works differently in different areas. So one of my colleagues in economics, for instance, was very excited about the flipped classroom and is thinking, okay, I'm going to take this back with me when we go back to face-to-face instruction, because some of the things I asked students to do in my econometrics class, right, they can do at home and bring back to the classroom and discuss better when they've had that experience outside of class. So he was kind of excited. A couple of folks in languages had the same experience. Others are really working hard in the more core humanities disciplines where discussion is the center of things. Their problem has been, oh, I don't like having to mute and unmute all these faces on the screen, right? So learning how to translate that discussion mode into a digital format. One of the most interesting conversations I had in one of our discussion groups was with one of our faculty teaching cello lessons. It's possible to do master classes virtually. People have done that for a while. But, how do you see the fingering? How do you get the sound quality just right? The cameras, you're not set up at everybody's home necessarily, your students or your own, to have the webcam doing the work you need for a lesson, So labs, theater, music lessons, the arts are particularly impacted by this, I think, trying to translate their work into a virtual mode. It's possible, but it's not as, I don't know, it seems to me, maybe it's just because I'm not an artist, but it seems to me one of the most challenging pieces of the work that people are doing, and one of the most innovative also.
Well, especially because that tactile sensation and being able to be very hands-on seems so central to that their brilliance, really, in being able to help other people learn those skills.
Exactly.
So I know that we had talked a little bit before our interview about some other areas around campus that are doing some very cool things. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about like what's happening at the library, for instance, to people connected to those essential resources.
Sure. Yeah, this has been a whole court press. It's the classroom is the core and our student experience is the core, but it takes the whole team, it takes the whole community. So the library, of course, being a gathering place, had to be closed. Other libraries and museums around the country have been closed. The library, the exchange system, right, the interlibrary loan, our Summit exchange isn't operating, so you can't get things from outside our own collection very easily, except some articles that can be sent electronically, right? So the library worked very hard to figure out what they could continue to provide, and all their electronic resources, of course, were no problem and still available. But for books, they've set up a system so that you can order a book out of our collection. They will put it on a cart inside the entryway, so you don't have to go all the way into the library, and card swipe the door, you pick up your order that has your number on it off the off of the cart, and off you go. So they're trying to replicate as much as they can the access to all of our resources, and that's been true just across the board. The Career Center has been working to provide alternate work, perhaps for some students who were on work study but can't be on campus, and so they're trying to find remote work that they can continue to do. They're working with our seniors, of course, who are going to enter a very strange economic world in a few months, trying to support them in their career searches and thinking and development. Student life is shifting to Convo is now online. We're working to put SSRD, the student undergraduate research presentation that usually happens for a whole day in April, where the faculty are working to put that online. ASWU is having their meeting online. They're working to create, gaming events and other kinds of things. Meanwhile, we have about 200 or so, a little more than 200 students still on campus. And so the housing folks and the student life folks are working to opportunities, not large groupings, but
Yeah.
opportunities for them to interact and have activities. And of course, Bon Appetit is still providing food on a pickup mode, curbside service, right, for the students who are still on campus. So it's been a pretty complex pathway.
Yeah, it's so many different pieces of the operation that you just take for granted. Like I love Bon Appetit and having not to make my own lunches, and now that's completely changed. But
Yep.
I'm very looking forward to their small plate days when we all get back to.
Yes. Yeah. Those of us who are coffee addicted are looking forward to Rick's reopening.
I know. So I know that there's other things that are going on as well. We still have groundskeepers that are there. We still have some of the WITS folks who are having to help us navigate all this different technology. Students are still living on campus. Are there any other aspects of that transition that we haven't discussed that you want to highlight?
Well, the registrar, the accounting office with student accounts, they still have to do all of the contact or information work that they do for students. And again, they're doing that largely at a distance. Many of the forms have gone online. One of the results of this whole experience is we're going to have a better DocuSign system, and we won't have so many paper forms to fill out after this is all over, right? So they're keeping the wheels turning in those offices. The grounds and facilities people are working probably harder than anybody else. They have been just massively effective in doing the cleaning, all of the touch points. It's a word I didn't know really before. Now we all think about touch points. They've been cleaning top to bottom. And as we have moved out of some buildings, not all of the academic buildings are generally open now. So they're able to clean more deeply and really keep the institution functional so that when we do reopen, we'll be ready to go.
That's wonderful to hear. And again, there's so many of these unseen pieces that are so important to making campus life work. And it's really exciting to see folks doing more work to translate some of that online, whether that's having drive-through book stops or, helping support the students who do need to stay on campus, regardless of what, that situation is for them. But it's so wonderful. I also know that Student Affairs has done so much in student support. They've started a helpline. I'm sure you could speak a little bit about just some of the, the psychosocial supports that are going into that campus response.
Right. Yeah. Student mental health, faculty mental health. Been a big issue through this last month, just trying to be sure that students are feeling supported, that they're resilient, developing that resilience that they'll need through this. Bishop Health, of course, has been doing telehealth. They worked very hard are still working hard to be able to do counseling work at a distance so that they can support our students who are spread around the country now. And that entailed not only providing the HIPAA compliant technology to do that, but also making agreements with states, because different states have different rules about whether or not a counselor in Oregon can work with you when you're in Ohio, right? So they've been doing individual negotiations in some cases with states so that they're able to support our students, and they're just busy all the time, just as they are when students are on campus. So that's been very impressive to watch.
Well, and just wonderful that everyone's leaning in. All of my conversations, everything that I've seen from campus colleagues and faculty and staff is that everyone's leaning into what can we do and how do we make it work for as many students as possible, whether they're on campus or they're all over the country or even internationally, as we have some students.
Yeah. And our Office of International Education has been working hard because, of course, we had to bring back most of our students who were studying abroad around the world. And that's been intensive, a challenge for the students as well as for us, of course. But they are all successfully home with the exception of a few who decided to stay in New Zealand and Australia, and we're keeping in touch with them. Our Tokyo International University students in the ASP program, of course, had to go back to Japan last week at the country's regulation. And we were very sorry to see them go, but they are safely home, and our students who were in Japan are safely home. So, this was an intensive effort by many people.
It's wonderful that, you're able to prioritize student safety and making sure that everyone got where they needed to go, whether that was determined by the country or their own, sense of what would make them feel safe and their family.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
exactly.
good to hear. So we've talked so much about what's happening a little bit at the undergraduate, College of Arts and Sciences, and then with our different campus partners. Could you speak a little bit about what this transition is looking like at Atkinson, the College of Law, and even our soon-to-be partners at the Claremont School of Theology?
Sure, Tiffany. Yeah, they've been working just as hard as everybody else, I'll say, a little bit differently. I mean, they tend to have different class sizes, even some different. The law school ends their classes a little earlier, so they're about a week away from final exams. They also have moved very smoothly, I think, into online, which in some ways is the most surprising because in law, the American Bar Association has only very recently allowed any kind of online instruction in the law, in law education, legal
Mhm.
education. So they haven't had practice at this. None of us have had extensive practice at Willamette, but some. So this was a different step for them. They've done very well. I think the classes are going well. They've also adapted in a number of ways to support their students. They've organized a fairly complex credit, non-credit option for students who are concerned about their standing. They've also, it is complex, so I won't try and explain it, but it does offer support to the students.
Mhm.
They've also moved to the LSAT. The entrance exam for law school wasn't offered in February and March, and
Mm.
that's put a pinch on some of our students wanting to come to law school. So the law school moved to accept the graduate record exam, the GREs, in
Mhm.
addition to the LSAT, which they haven't done before. So they're really working to make it possible for students to pursue their legal education, and of course supporting them through this semester. Their exams also, because most of the emphasis of their grading is on their final exams, are very important. And they've had for years some online testing software, but they've done it still in classrooms. So now they're adapting to the security issues and how do we, how do you proctor exams when people are spread around around the
Mhm.
country? So they've been working on those issues with their students and trying to be sure that everyone's comfortable and successful in their work and doing a great job and supporting each other well. I love it that they're doing the law faculty meetings in Zoom now. It's hilarious. So I shouldn't say that, they'll laugh at me. AGSM, the Atkinson School of Management, is in some ways has some more complex issues than the rest of us. They actually work in two sites because they have the MBA for Professionals program in Portland also. So
Mhm.
they've been stretched at trying to keep their cohorts collaborating together. And they also do a lot of experience learning internships work.
Mhm.
So they've had some different adaptations, I think, than some of the other schools. But they have in some ways been the most placid about the whole thing. They've been very positive.
Mhm.
um, they have done a lot of, as I say, group work, so that isn't different for them. So they've been using the breakout rooms in Zoom a lot,
Mm.
um, trying to connect. Of course, the face-to-face internships we really aren't able to pursue because the locations where they were working aren't available in most
Mhm.
cases. So trying to replace that with some other kind of educational opportunity has been interesting.
Mhm.
But they're doing very well. And of course, our colleagues at the Claremont School of Theology, some of whom are in residence up here already, have been teaching in a hybrid mode for some years now,
Mhm.
and they're very good at it. So they've been quite helpful at supporting us. They have used Zoom for years as a platform, so they've had experience with this. One of the colleagues from CT has been a part of every faculty discussion I've had online. He's there to answer questions and give advice and encouragement. He came up with, that British sign, keep calm, and whatever it's been adapted. Well, he adapted it to keep calm, teach remotely. So that's been our motto for our discussions.
Oh, that's so great to hear everyone again that with that whole so typical of Willamette pitching in mindset. Like he has this area of expertise and can help and is willing to be online with
Right.
everyone and help walk them through that. And we're all learning so many different features of Zoom and fun backgrounds. And I'm sure we'll get even fancier and more polished as we move along. Kind of transitioning a little bit, we talked a bit about the student experience, what it's how it's going in their classrooms, whether they're on and off campus, additional supports. But I was wondering if we could speak a little bit about how this is impacting them, especially those who are looking to graduate this year and have it, you know, kind of going through this big change. And then as we're looking towards next fall and what life at Willamette might look like then.
Yeah. Well, as for our seniors, the class of 2020 will have many tales to tell, I think, as they age. Um, the library, the archival section of the library is starting to do a collection effort, inviting people to contribute whatever they like, photos, recordings of dance, music, stories,
Mm-hmm.
and expressing what this has been like. And they can tag it as something not to be released for 5 years if they want, right? But it'll be in university archives for hundreds of years, I hope. So that's going to be exciting just to see what this experience has been like. I think the thing I hope for all of our students, including our years, of course, is that they grow in resilience from this whole experience, and that rather than taking damage away from it, they learn how to turn what they've learned to good effect, to help them grow in their flexibility and their ability to negotiate ambiguity and challenge, and that they come out of their Willamette education feeling that, you know, we helped and supported them through this, and that they gained immeasurably. This is a generation that will need to lead our world through a lot of really interesting challenges in environment, in global governance, in health, obviously, in public health. So I really hope that all of us, including our students, are able to take this experience forward to be more generous, more aware of equity, trying to make progress on some of the differences and divisions that are in our societies at the moment, and that we really are able to apply all of our learning to help each other, you know, to be generous and kind. Our motto has probably never been more important than in times like these. Yeah, not unto ourselves alone are we born. And if we, in both our virtual and our face-to-face worlds, if we apply that and act out of generosity and kindness, we'll be okay.
Well, and I agree. I'm seeing so many great examples of students also stepping up and leaning in and providing support to each other, and even helping walk teachers through some, you know, professors through some of the text that my own student assistants know more than I do.
That's one of the great forms of generosity of our students to us as faculty.
They've been wonderful. And I think it really ties into what President Thorset often says, in that Willamette, kind of our overall goal is to help people lead lives of contribution, achievement, and meaning. And, you know, we're really being called to step up to that in this time. So we've covered so much. I don't know if there's anything else that you think that you would like to share, or, you know, as we look ahead, what you think might be coming next. It is your moment, if there's anything.
Well, I think we're all thinking hard about what the fall might look like. You know, we all wish that we could just come back and everything would be perfectly normal again, and we'll just pick up at where we left off. And, you know, in the best of all possible outcomes, we'll get to see that. But I'm doubtful that it will be exactly like we hope. One can't tell how quickly we will need to learn to adapt to this new virus and new reality. So we're taking it gradually. We're planning for a variety of kinds of options, and we hope that we can be as fully operative face-to-face in the fall as possible. We look forward to seeing everyone really again, rather than in disembodied form, right?
Floating.
And to be able to do all of the wonderful collaboration that we thrive on at Willamette. And I think we will continue to thrive.
I agree. And it has been so wonderful talking to you today. So if I may, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your insights and knowledge about the ways our community is supporting each other right now. And thank you for providing us with your incredible experience and leadership. No one knows Willamette quite like you do, except maybe the president and some of our more long-term faculty and staff. So I know it's a very difficult time, and we appreciate your efforts and your responsiveness and just openness to kind of let other folks know what's going on and what that looks like. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. It's been my privilege.
Oh, thanks. So those of you who are joining us, if you've enjoyed this interview and would like to see more, as well as other exciting Willamette content, I encourage you to continue to turn into WooStream and our virtual programming platform. We're going to have a lot of exciting things coming up. And if you have any suggestions, please know we're open to all. And we hope, more importantly, we hope you're staying safe and healthy when we're all adjusting to, this COVID-19 reality. There's information on the Willamette website about that. If we can answer any questions or be of support to you, please let us know. And again, we'll just sign off with that. We hope you stay well.